Welcome back to another episode of Junk Jaw Reseller Podcast. My name's Jay.
I'm Ray.
I'm Kenny.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. We do thank you for coming back, and I hope you enjoy this episode. I'm going to start this off with a growth tip. If you're looking at other people's businesses and you're wondering, like, man, they're really doing way better than I am. We're all in this journey together. Where you're at doesn't mean it's where you're going to end up. You have to be where you're going to be. Now, ask yourself, how much work are you willing to do? So this episode is for the part-time, the full-time, or the person selling his stuff out of the closet. This episode's for you. So thank you for coming. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. The first thing we're going to do is we got a couple things together. We're going to show some objects, and I want to know, what do you think about them, and what are they? And I want you to leave that down in the comments. Kenny, what'd you bring today?
Oh, you want me to show the item that I brought today?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if anybody can guess what this item's going to be.
Oh, hairbrush or something.
What?
A comb. A comb. I don't know.
Let me see the bottom of that thing.
That like a what? I have no idea. No idea. All right, you're gonna have to start describing because I want to know what the heck this thing is.
Yeah, it starts. I was gonna say like an electric.
So am I supposed to tell you what it is?
Should we do that?
We leave it to the which card? Leave it to the subscribers to write down.
Well, then that defeats the purpose of my item.
No. We'll tell them what it is. We'll tell them what it is. We just want to see if they got it right in the comments. I think it's an electric hairbrush, heated hairbrush.
Maybe it's a hair straightener. I'm going with a hair straightener.
That's your final answer?
Yep.
What's your final answer, James?
A heated hairbrush.
You both are kind of right. It's a heated hair straightener.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes they have cords on the bottom that would heat up. This just went into whatever you could heat. They probably had like a heater base, or you could just put it in anything, and it would heat the whole comb up, and then it would straighten the hair up, woman's hair up. All you gotta do is heat this up, and it would. That's what it is.
What's that thing sell for?
Not as much as you would hope it was. If it was named, if there was like a name inscribed on here, they could go from like $40 to $80. This one's only about 15, 20 tops, maybe lower. It was just it's a nice little odd item. I hate picking it again. I bought a bin full of stuff and I had it. I just thought it was kind of neat because you don't see them all the time. You know what I mean? And when you do find them, again, they might be worth picking up if you get them cheap enough,
No.
Again, and sometimes the older ones have lead inside of them. And, hey, you make money where you can make money. If you could scrap lead, scrap the lead. You know what I mean? Make money everywhere.
Yeah.
What do you got, Ray?
All right, so I went sourcing. I haven't went sourcing in a while. I went sourcing last Saturday while it was raining a little bit. Like I got like a small bag full of stuff before it started raining. So this one items, just softball, got some autographs on it. I had no idea who these people were when I picked this up. So like a lot of these I can't really tell until last night. I sat down, figured it out, and that's why I'm excited about it. So this is a ball signed by members of King and His Court, which is basically the Savannah Bananas before, like it's like a version of Savannah Bananas almost. Like they're very similar, but it was softball years ago. And so it's kind of cool because it's only it's like a 4-person team or something like that. It's weird. I don't know how it worked, but they put on a show kind of like, like the Savannah Bananas do, Harlem Globetrotters, but it was for softball. So I thought this was pretty neat. It's signed by like the main guy. They call him the King. I think it's Eddie Feiner or Feiner. Eddie Feiner, maybe. Looks like his wife and a couple other players on the team. So
So what does that go for?
when I looked it up, it kind of seemed like some comps were all over the place. I think it depends on the year of the ball itself, but there was like some for like I would say between anywhere from like 50 to like 150. So I think it depends. But I think it's pretty neat. Like I had no idea. For me being the sports stuff, like this is kind of cool, especially because I'm going to Savannah Bananas game next week. So it's kind of cool to find something that was comparable to Savannah Bananas back in the day.
Would any of you guys know what that was? Leave in the comments. All right, here's my thing.
Yeah, I kind of jumped into that, didn't I? So,
And for everybody, there is an actual word for this. I couldn't remember. Hot cone.
hot cone.
Hot cone.
Okay.
So
what does Jay got?
Just so, I'm sorry, James.
Oh, well, now we backtrack. Jay's showing off his stuff. This is like the have you seen the Instagram reels like the somebody's wife comes up and like, hey, my husband wants to show you his Lego collection.
Yeah.
You better be nice.
So anybody know what this is?
I know what it is.
How about you?
I don't know.
It is a cigarette case.
Wow.
This happens to be complete silver.
So what? They would be like clamped down or something?
Yeah. So inside there, they'd put their cigarettes in. They'd clamp them down so they wouldn't like bounce all over the place.
Because you think about it, you had to roll your own cigarettes back then.
Mm-hmm. It's a cigarette case. And it's worth $150 to $200. It's complete silver. It's like 3.5 ounces of silver here. So.
Okay, so that's why.
Yep.
Like now, like a normal, like if it wasn't silver, like a cigarette case probably wouldn't go for.
No, it would matter. It would matter who it was by.
Okay.
So, like everything else.
But like, do you think that like cigarette cases that aren't like silver or gold or anything like that, do you think they could be very collectible?
Yeah, they're collectible. Collectible and how much they're really worth are two different things. Mm-hmm. So things can be collectible, just the price of them aren't.
Uh-oh. Kenny's showing us.
Just showing a couple of about $20, 20 to 30 on different ones. So
yeah.
Just to show you, I mean, depending on what type of stuff you sell, we'll get into more, informational stuff here in a minute.
Yeah. But basically, this episode, like I said, if you're a full-time seller, part-time seller, just selling things out of your closet, episode's for you. We're getting into how to grow your business. And it's a whole guide to how to do that. One of the things we look at is, we're selling on eBay or any of these platforms, we have to make listings. We all have to make listings. And it's like, how do we formulate that listing? So we're going to go, each one of us is going to have some types of tips or some types of, information on different and I need you to listen, grab your pen, your paper, a drink, and write this stuff down. So what would you say, as you're doing your listings, what kind of information do you think we should use, and how should you formulate that listing, right?
I mean, the most, to me, the most important part of any listing, obviously, is it's the title and the photos and the description. Like, I mean, if you can, but like the photos are what people are going to see. A lot of people want to read the title and description at the time anymore. They'll type in looking for certain things, but the photo has to be good. Like, it has to, it can't be like dark or it can't be like, don't take a picture of an item on your bathroom floor or something like that. Like you want it to look professional. You want it to look, enticing for somebody to buy it. And then the title, in order for it to even show up to those people to be enticing, you want to Use very important keywords, whether the brand, the title, the style, maybe the year. And there's you got to be careful because there are a lot of overused keywords. Rare is very overused, even though I use it sometimes. So there's certain things you want to look at as far as that. And I'll go back to the description. I basically, me personally, I just repeat the title and just add a couple more little details. I don't use AI. I don't use anything like that. I think AI makes a whole big weird story like I'm selling, like it's like a salesperson knocking on your door giving you a sales pitch. Like I'm no, you're gonna buy it basically off my title and my photos mainly, and
Hmm.
that's what it's there for.
How
So
about you, Ken?
So I've had a lot of people ask me about it, and I think what happens is, this is for the veteran seller. You already probably know these things; it's kind of innate. But for the newer seller, I would say to you, don't get overwhelmed. What happens is, I've had people ask me like, I don't want to resell. I have 25, 30 things in front of me, and they don't even really know where to start. A good place to start is a scale. What do I mean by that? What you're going to do is you're going to take those items and you're going to weigh each one of them. Each one of them are either going to fall into a 4, 8, 12, 1 pound, 2 pound section for listing. So you separate those listings into little piles of 4, 8, 12, 1 pound listings. So that minimizes, at least it gives you a category for each item. After you've done source the item and you got it home, um, say you have 5 of your items are 4 ounces. The best way to think about an item is when it needs to ship out. After you've done sourced the item, after you've done got it in your hands, you think to yourself, how is this going to ship? How is it supposed to be packed inside of a bin? These logistical things can make or break you because you might not think about it, but a soft item should not go in the bottom of a bin. You throw heavy stuff on top of it, it's probably going to change that item, and there you go. You're probably going to get a return because you've shipped out an item that probably looks different because it got bent up in the bottom of a bin. Again, like to piggyback on what Ray said, a good picture can make or break you. And you are probably going to buy it off the pictures and the title. So those two things are very good to focus on. But I would say in your description, if you have to explain flaws in an item, it's best to point out the flaws, because if you don't pick out the flaws and at least tell the buyer ahead of time, it's either that, or at least it covers your own tracks about when you go to sell an item and somebody wants a return, you can say, hey, I pointed out the flaws. You can't use that as a reason to return it, or you shouldn't. Let's be honest, you're still going to have returns regardless of how much 100% sell-through rate. You're still going to have returns, so just face that too. So it's a couple points I had to point out just to get through. I didn't want anybody to get confused. But there are more logistical things that you have to worry about other than just the title and the picture, which are important too. But it's just it's the packing that you got to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's some good hints. Yeah, you have to worry about, when I first started eBay, I made, a mistake in shipping. And I think knowing your shipping is a good thing. That's probably something we're going to get into a little bit later. But, as you design those listings, make sure that title's great. Make sure you have exactly what it is. It's clear cut in the title, the size, the weight. I mean, not the weight, the size, what the item is, any any attributes that that sell the thing. Make sure when you do your pictures, the lighting's great. It's clear. You're showing any details that's going to sell the object, or any details that's going to hinder for a comeback. And description, what you're trying to do is you're really basically telling what that item is, if there's any faults in it, and you're also in that description. You're also trying to sell it to the person. I'm not going to lie to you, and you do that by building with nice words. and make sure just make sure your shipping is on point. I think that's one of the major things. And when you do that, I mean, it doesn't build the listing, but it's going to help you from failing. That's for certain.
And I think a lot of times the tips that people hear are in a vacuum of like, the things that they say are usually, I guess, mentally are made for just one item. You got to get, a lot of sellers have to get used to, you know, you're going to have to repeat this process, hundreds of times. You have to find out what works in your title. How do you explain things? Are you niche down? Are you just doing clothes? Are you doing miscellaneous items across the board? The more categories of items that you do, the more knowledge you're going to have because those little innate things that say that I do, a new reseller's not going to do. Right? They're not going to understand what to look for, or how to take their pictures. So there's a lot of like, you know, if you don't have tips and you don't have people telling you what to do, you're going to have a lot of errors and you're going to have to learn from them errors or it might destroy you. So, what we're telling you is we want you to succeed. We want you to be as great of a seller as anybody else can be. Any other YouTuber you see, you can actually be and do yourself as well.
That's right.
It's just that you have to follow these little hints and tricks and these logistical holes that you might fall in, like what bins are you using, what other materials are you going to use for shipping, do you have enough shipping items to cover all the different types of items that you have. These are a lot of things that you're going to have to think of, especially what kind of items you're selling. If you're just selling clothes, yes, you can uniform your shipping materials very easily. But if you're going to do a lot of soft items, hard items, fragile items, you're going to have a multitude of shipping items. Are you set up for that? What logistical things are else you're going to use as in technology, AI? Are you using any AI in your business? I
Yeah.
know it might tell a story. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes, certain buyers want a story that's
Yeah.
fantastical that
I
AI
don't know,
can write.
me personally, because I look at,
I don't personally like it as a
yeah.
buyer,
Well,
but some people do. And it's that's just multitude of things that you have to think of when you are
yeah,
selling. What?
yeah.
Who
Like
is your customer?
they, well, the thing is, I think as a seller, you're going to make a decision, and everybody's going to do everything differently, right? So, like, I mean, I look at the whole AI description thing nowadays. Like, I mean, that's a choice. Like, it's a great, it can be a great um tool to fill in that for you, but it's not. Sometimes it's not going to get it completely correct or accurate. It's going to, like, sometimes it'll just exaggerate a little bit, and then the third thing I want to point out is, like, okay, if you look at like Amazon, or if you go to on like Target, Walmart, a bunch of different websites, they're not going to have like some whole story behind the item, or and stuff like that. They're not going to like have that. They're going to have the details, and the details is, if you have the details of the item, the condition, the like the year, color, size, all that important stuff. That's what you need to focus on. And so I'm gonna round this into, like, right above the description. You're gonna see on eBay. You're gonna see the item specifics. Now, how important do you guys think those item specifics are?
I think they're pretty important. I mean, it matters what the item is.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about clothing, I think it's really, really important. Because you could change some of that item specifics, some things that no one fills out. You can put keywords in those things and show up in certain categories that you never think that you would show up in.
Okay.
So that's how some of that item specific things work. How about you?
The items again, for clothes, specifics are great. Other times to use item specifics, it again, it's to cover your own tracks, right? Like, it's a CYA move. It's you want to put as much information in for the buyer, but it's also for the seller. So the buyer can't say, well, your item specific said 11 inches when your title said 7 and it's actually 9, right? So you want the most accurate information for the buyer as much as possible for them and for yourself. And just to circle back to the item description thing, yeah, you're right. The logical, more like, hey, just the information stuff is great for certain buyers, but not every buyer buys off of logic. Not every buyer buys off of just the hardcore facts of. Some buyers are emotional. Some buyers like a little story behind the item, regardless if it's AI generated or not. And again, that's not the buyer that I am, but I know there are many buyers that buy emotional. Again, that falls back to knowing your customer. What kind of items you sell? Is it more generally? Is it more male oriented or female oriented? Because as much as we might not like it, we are different. We shop differently. We look at things differently. And truthfully, a more feminine mind is going to look at something with more emotion than the logic. Because that's just the hardcore facts of the shopping. It's not me. It's years of marketing research. They back it up. They you can Google it. That's women buy emotionally more than men do. That's just how it is. And if you can pull a heartstring, you can pull an emotion out of a story, even though it's AI generated. Again, that's knowing your customer. Are your customers more female oriented? And that goes back to the logistics of knowing your merchandise. So all these things that we're telling you are connected. So it's not just and or. Sometimes it's both. So
Yeah.
all these things are connected. It's not like one thing's right over top of the other. They both can be true at the same exact time. So don't take that. What I might say is different than what Ray is saying. We're both correct. That we're just telling you about two different kind of customers.
Yeah.
That's basically all.
You have to find your own your way.
Yes.
Everybody has their way.
What niche, what categories you're in, all this have to be thought of, and that falls back to marketing, right? Marketing research. Again, you have the tab in eBay about marketing research, and we'll probably get in that further, maybe in this episode or another episode, about the market research that we do on eBay, and where's your focus going about promoting your items a little bit more. We'll probably get into that again too.
And my thing with the description is I don't write big descriptions. I write, please see pics for condition. That's all I write.
Yeah.
And I mostly sell to men, so it doesn't that big unless there's something in it they need to see. And that's one out of every 100 that I may go into. But most people, they want to see you add more things in the description box because they feel that you care more and they trust people who write more words.
Now, do you change that per item? Because I have. Here's a shirt right here, right? It's Delta Sigma Veda, right? I've sold a bunch of these shirts. They're sorority shirts. Yes, this is a man's shirt, but the customers for this shirt is probably most likely 90% of the time are going to be female. So when I did items descriptions on these, I did use the AI generation. I let them generate the story and let it exaggerate. And yes, I did also see pictures for condition and all that, but I let the story be told because the people that buy these shirts from me are going to like the emotion and the story and the little bit of history behind the item more than they are like me just pointing out, hey, focus on the pictures and use your own logical brain.
It's a connection.
It's
Yeah.
a connection, yes,
It's a connection.
because there is a story. This sorority was the first black female sorority in the country. This is from the state of Maryland. This is a Maryland sorority, and the story behind it actually helped sell it. So this is a good example of why that AI description might help with this item. But it's not going to help if with say a craftsman's wrench or a little tool set or even a video game, really. Nobody needs to know the little story, AI generates story behind, like, Ratchet and Clank video games, right? Like, you just don't have to. It's all about what the disc looks like. It's all about whether it works, let's test it, and it's
Yeah.
good to go, right? Because
Yeah.
the hardcore facts is what's going to sell that game.
I think, like, especially because what I sell is mostly pre-owned stuff, and I mean I do not describe anything as mint. Like, I will not say it. You will never see me describe anything as mint condition unless it's like a graded card that says it's mint or near mint or whatever. Like, that's the only time. But it's because almost every item that is pre-owned, it's the condition is completely opinion based.
It cannot be mint if it's pre-owned. That's the thing. That's why you're right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't use mint
But like,
if it's pre-owned.
but and to go with what Jay was saying, I will always say, a lot of times say, please see photos for best view of condition, because I want them to see each and every flaw. I took the time to notice every flaw. I took time to picture every flaw. It's there not just to cover cover me, but to make sure my buyer is confident when he or she is purchasing, my item. And then I want to go back to the item specifics again, real quick. Now, I do want to say, when you are filling out the item specifics, and this is pretty much because now what we mostly describe as, like, when you're listing, this basically, I think, tutorial almost, like, if you're listing, or a guide, if you're listing items like from scratch without actually hitting the sell similar button. So if you, like, search up the item and you find an exact comp and you hit the sell similar button, I think one of the most important things, and this is why I believe that item specifics are a little dangerous, because there's a lot of misinformation put in to those item specifics, and I am constantly changing and having to alter item specifics. I mean, it could be the year was wrong. It could be a complete, like, on a baseball card, they might have left somebody's name on there that wasn't even this card. It was like an item that person listed, before that card or something. I don't know. Like, it could be the wrong team. You have to filter through that info and make sure every detail is correct.
Well, here's a good thing for people to keep in mind of. When you get into the item specifics, it's three main categories in item specifics. You have the mandatory information, you have the primary information, and you have the secondary information. The mandatory information is like the name of the movie, what format it's in, and they'll have UPC. They're mandatory information that you have to put in for you to even list that item. The primary is for search results. It's best to try to fill those in. It ranges from maybe 4 things to 15 different things. That'd be in the second little section of item specifics. Now, in the third section, that's very, secondary information. That's just add extra information to the buyer. It might have item link. It's not mandatory. You don't technically have to fill these out. Actually, if you're not going to fill them out, either double check the information that is filled out, or just clear the entire section, empty it, so it's not wrong or inaccurate information. With the exception of your own personal SKU. But I would say, make sure the mandatory and the primary information on item specifics are filled out correctly. That's what allows you to list the item, and what allows the item to get found in any search result. The secondary information is not, that's not as important. If you want to fill it out, will it help? Yes, but it's minimal. Again, it's probably best just to look at it to make sure the information that is already filled out from the previous lister is accurate to your listing. That would be my advice to you.
Yeah. Not only that, there's a circle. Now, the more information that you put in that secondary information spot, it'll close that circle.
Primary information.
Primary. Yeah. However you want to look at it. It's broken down in 3 spots. If you go in that second spot, and the more you fill out in that second spot, you'll see there's a circle above when you go out of it. And if it closes all the way, that means you got all the information. That thing is ready to be seen everywhere.
Yes.
And you could fill it out anyway. Like say if I'm selling a Mark McGuire card, I put everything down, but in that primary information, they don't ask me what team, right? They just ask me Topps. If I find something I don't know the information about, and I put Oakland because he played for Oakland, that's going to pop up in anything, and that card lots of times will pop up in anything that has Oakland A's in it, and it will. So now that card's being seen at another spot that you didn't really think it's going to be seen. So that's a tip. As long as you can get away with putting a piece of information that can have you be in another search engine or a search place, then use it that way.
Yeah, that's connected to that item anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep. So.
Good tip. Because like you said, you could find it in other search results.
Yep. And it works. Mm-hmm. So we're making listings, but first thing, we got to get the product. So we got to source, and we got to source smart. And right now we're thinking about, from the starters, how we're starting this and how we're going to grow it. So, in the beginning, we're going right to nothing but like Goodwills and checking things out and, just bringing things
what you have at your home already.
What you have at your home already, because that's probably how you should really start out. Mm-hmm. People in there selling their closets, their clothes, and so things. So we know that little bit beginning. But how do we grow? How do we grow to get the massive amounts of things or make it a lot easier? Or what's a smarter sourcing method? Can I get some tips, Ray?
I want to say start with what you know. Because, if you don't start with what you know, it's going to be a lot harder to move forward and grow. Because, if it's something that you're knowledgeable about, you already collect. Yes, I think the main downfall is that you might get attached to the inventory a little bit because you're excited. You're probably just excited about finding it as your customer would be. You might even sometimes want to keep things for yourself. So it can be dangerous, but I do want to say as long as, you're knowledgeable and just know, it could be something you're not even collect, but you just enjoy it. You know what I mean? But just start with something and then you can slowly expand out. You can slowly learn. You can do a lot of research on eBay and watch other YouTube videos or watch our videos, watch our podcast, listen to our podcast. Just pick up on little tips, bolos. There's so much information out there, and I think you just have to follow. It's a lot of following what's on trend, but don't expand too quickly out of your niche, because if you're not even having the success in your niche, you might not have success outside of your niche if you're doing too much.
How about you, Kenny?
Here's tip 1. When you find out exactly what you want to sell, say, well, just use an example, you want to sell jeans. You've already sold a few of your jeans, you know how eBay works, you've made a few sales, and you made a couple dollars and you're ready to move up in the world of jeans. So, there's a few things you can do. You can advertise on Facebook in your local area. After you've done educated yourself on about how much jeans are getting sold, what types of jeans they are, about how much they sell, and a generalized price on what you're willing to pay for each individual item that fits your description, that are, at least ready to sell. So when you advertise and somebody comes to you with pairs of jeans, they have 100 pair of jeans at $6 a piece. If that's too high for you, don't buy it. If they come with $1 a pair of jeans, great, buy it. But that works for anything. That's the only one spot that you can source items. Go to your local flea markets and yard sales. Download a yard sale app. Go to each yard sale and keep an open mind on bundling items. Bundling items is probably the cheapest way to actually make a profit, because a lot of mentality people have is, yes, they'll sell you an item for $10, and each individual item $10, but if you're going to buy 100 items, they may sell it to you for $5 an item. Yep. The mentality of bundling, a lot of people actually, you can actually turn a lot of profit on bundling items at buying bulk.
It's the old American Pickers move, Frank's yes. move. Oh, I love me a bundle.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And what you spend is not exact. You have to do the math in your head to the point of what you're going to make. Is that more than what you spent? Because a lot of resellers fall into the trap of spending more than what they're going to make by not educating themselves on about what the marketplace is. Educate yourself. You have a cell phone. You can do 60-second of market research on items, and you can pretty much not get screwed over by a reseller.
Right.
So do your due diligence. That extra couple minutes of research will save you thousands of dollars in the future.
Yep.
Just make sure mathematically that you're always going to be out on top.
Yeah. So me, as myself, I'm an everything seller. I'm in pretty much every category, but I've been reselling for 30 years, all my life. Reselling all my life. Doesn't matter what it is. I've been knowledgeable from day one. But you want to, so it's hard to get into some niches. Say you do video games, say you're doing anime stuff. Sometimes it's very hard to find. Whatever it is, it can be hard to find. So you want to kind of like source what's abundant in your area. It makes it a lot easier, makes it cheaper. You make the money off the deal. The deal, when you buy that, that's when you know you make the money. If I could buy jeans at $1 a pair, I'm making money all day long. So you really, what you want to do is, like you said, go to the flea market. But you need to make friends. You got to sell yourself, and you got to get really close. Sometimes you got to be willing to spend a little bit of money to form bonds with people, so they know that you're ready to buy when they have the item, and that's how you get more and more and more. So the more people you meet, the more friends you make, and the more people you let you're ready to buy, they're going to bring it to you, and you got to be ready. You got to be ready to have that money. You got to be ready to spend. Not like, oh, well, you said you wanted Oreo jerseys. Here, I got 10 Oreo jerseys for you. No, no. I mean, even if you might be one or two things in there that you do want, and the rest of it's like, you got to find a way to get rid of that stuff. You just do. Because if you walk away from it, somebody else is going to come, and they're going to buy it, and you're going to be stuck, and you'll never get anything from them again. That's just the way it's going to happen. Now, you can go to estate sales. You can go to auction houses. You could buy in lots. You need to learn how to buy in bulk. That's if you're growing your business. You have to buy in bulk. And if you're buying in bulk, then you need to make sure you list everything, or you're going to have a tremendous, tremendous death pile, and you're going to be sitting in it. Yeah. So, like I said from the beginning, are you ready to work? How much work are you ready to put in? That means how much success you're going to have. So you can't sit there and be a fucking lazy ass and think things are going to happen. You got to go out there and you got to make moves. And if you don't, guess what? Then you're going to be stuck.
Yeah, you can't think you're going to go to Goodwill and buy one or two items and afford yourself a spot as a full-time reseller by buying, a handful of items in a week, right? Yeah. You're just not going to do it. You like James said, you have to buy in bulk. That's what I was saying. You have to buy hundreds of items to expand your business. If you don't, you're done. That's why me and James has a 2,500 square foot storage unit, basically a warehouse space that we have. That's the only way you're going to expand. And if you're lucky enough to be able to afford employees, even better. But that's expanding past, the full time reseller. We'll get to that another time. That's another conversation about employees.
I feel like Jay just yelled at me.
No, I wasn't.
Like that was directed towards me because that was like
No, it wasn't.
you were like,
and like James said,
look, last week
networking.
I said fire me, and this was my firing speech. Like,
no,
get your shit together. I'm gonna fire you. You won't be back next week.
and then like James, another thing like James said, networking. If you don't network and make those relationships, you're dead. You're dead in the water. You're never going to make it. You're never going to be able to make deals, at least not anything substantial, because you don't realize this, but other people in your area are also resellers, and sometimes they buy, and they can't get rid of it. But that doesn't mean it's bad product. They might just be a dumbass, like James said. They may be a dumbass. They may have spent their money, willy-nilly, and they have a ton of what you want for cheap just to get rid of it. And another person's destruction is your advancement.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just how it is. You nothing can be created. Nothing can be created or destroyed. It can be transformed. Transform their junk into your treasure.
Absolutely.
Take advantage of people being evicted from their homes. I hate to be this way, but people who are in monetary hard times, they try to sell things for cheap. If you see on Facebook that somebody's having an estate sale or a yard sale, there's a possibility they're having an economic hard time. And somebody's going to buy the stuff. Let it be you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll be helping them out, and they'll be helping you out with product.
Now, I do want to say, don't go out there and just buy everything, completely, because, you don't want to overwhelm yourself.
That's why I said you do your research.
Yep.
You
well,
have
no,
to research
but even so,
price.
You could literally buy a ton of stuff. I mean, way more stuff than you could list in, the amount of time.
That's why I said you got to be ready to work. How much work are you ready to put in?
Yes.
Because if you ain't, sit your lazy ass down and let somebody else take over.
All right, here's the seat.
This is why we do this.
This is why we do it, baby. Hulk Hogan, baby.
Oh,
Rest
man.
in peace, baby.
But he's 71 and he's dead now.
What a shame about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Raise the Hulk Hogan. Raise the Hulk Hogan of reselling.
Yeah.
Sandwich.
Get him, baby.
Oh, my gosh.
No, really, what you're saying, don't go out there and just buy willy-nilly, be a dumbass.
Yeah, no.
Like you said, make sure you do your research. Make sure you know what you're getting into. Buy things that you could, because you make the money off the deal. Because the next thing that we're going to get into is how to price your items.
Yeah.
Buy, when you're getting into that deal, make sure you know what you're doing. Buy the thing. Don't go buy, I'm buying, he just sold me 1,000 Beanie Babies for $1,500. You're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You're making no money.
Or I bought all these pairs of jeans that have, dookie stains down the back part of them. You know
But
what
I got them for 80 cents a piece.
Exactly.
You're dumb.
You're dumb.
About all those Disney VHS tapes with the clamshell,
The Black Diamond?
They have a Black Diamond on them.
I paid $10 a piece for them. eBay said they were $3,000.
Yeah.
You're dumb.
Because people don't understand. I think you really need to do a lot of research. There is a lot of weird activity that should not be going on eBay, like including a lot of money laundering.
Yeah.
And they you got to be careful. There's a lot of comps that are not as accurate as you think. And part of that is, if you can find, just look. Okay, so I want to go talk about these Black Diamond VHS tapes. One of the biggest giveaways in those comps, and this is like 90% of the time.
When it's $500.
Well, not just that. A lot of people they don't have that knowledge. So I'm not going to make fun of them,
I'm
completely.
gonna make fun.
No, because okay, yeah, but you could see there's a lot of things out there. You're like, oh man, it goes for this much. Like there's a sold comp. Like you know what I mean? People are going to see that sold comp and they're like, wow, somebody did buy this. But the thing is, if it's an auction and it only had one bid, and that's usually 90% of the time these Black Diamond VHSs, it only has one bid, and it went for like $2,000 or $3,000, whatever. There's no way. Like if it's that high value of an item, there would have been way more bids. If it had that much interest, somebody's willing to pay you $3,000 or something. There would have absolutely been more than one bid.
Yeah, but if anybody, I'm just saying, if anybody's watching this and you're buying and you're spending that money on Black Diamond, or you think you got Black Diamond, get off our page. We don't even want it. We don't even want you.
I don't even take them for free.
Yeah, I mean, literally. I mean, people, you can't be that stupid. I mean, really, you can't be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, don't be stupid. You're here. Don't you come to the right place, baby? Don't be stupid.
So
Yeah.
here's another tip about about money, right? You have to have the mentality of like, maybe I don't need all the money. I just need some of the money. I have to turn a profit. Sometimes you're gonna look at sold listings and say, the average is $10 for this pair of jeans. You paid $1 for this pair of jeans. Now you could list this pair of jeans for $10, and maybe they'll sell within 6 to 8 to 9 months. But if you listed that pair of jeans for $8, they might sell it within 3 weeks. Yes, you made $2 less, but guess what? You made more money back. You made a profit. You created space so you can buy something that's worth more.
Yeah.
That you make more profit on. You cleared that space out. You don't need to make all the money. You just need to make some of the money. You need to turn a profit that's has a higher percentage margin on what you spent, the taxes you'll have to pay, the shipping, and all this, and you try to keep them costs down as low as possible, so then you can keep your keep your cost of goods down as low as possible, so you can keep the sale item as low as possible, so you can beat out people. So here's two things you can do. You can keep your item sales, what you're going to sell your item, down extremely low, or you can promote your item with extra percentages to sell your items at a higher rate and maybe at a higher price. Or the third option, you can do both. So again, I'll ask both James and Ray, do you think promoting your items, say on eBay, because you can do it on Facebook as well too, but eBay mainly, do you believe on promoting your items, is that a better strategy, keeping a lower price, or a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think I really never really promoted my items that much, and the stuff that I did promote, I wound up selling anyway as promotion, and it was really like 3 or 4%, whatever it may be. But I think that the more viewing that somebody has of your product, I think the better off you are going to be selling that item. I don't believe in pricing the lowest. I don't believe pricing the highest, and it matters how many has been sold and how much, how quick that goes, and how wanting of the deed of that item is compared to how much I'm going to sell it for. But if I'm in a category where there's 1,000 sells in 90 days and there's 1,000, say 1,800 listed. Now, if say the average selling price is $15, I sell it at $13 and show it off at like 3%. My item's going to sell. I don't care about the 3% loss and the $2 off or $3 off that I did. I'm going to sell it, turn it, and burn it, baby. It's the quick nickel instead of the slow dime mentality.
Right?
Yeah. Now, me personally, I haven't had the success with promoting items. I tried it. I don't know if what I'm doing wrong. I have no idea. But me personally, I don't like promoting them because it's just a waste of my time putting all these items on promoted, and it doesn't. I look at the chart. Like it doesn't help my sales at all. But and results are gonna vary from person to person. So, and it depends because it depends a lot on the product, depends on
I was about to
your
say, do you
listings.
think
There's
that
a lot
has to
of
do with your products? Do you think that has to do with what you
possibly,
keep in your store?
possibly. Now, I do want to say one thing I think that's helping me a little more than what I used to do, because I do have so many items in my store. Um, One trick to get stuff boosted back up to the top so it's not pushed so far down I think it's important. It's definitely end those old listings, like those old listings, end them, and then just hit the sell similar and put it back near the top because you know if you have your item on there for so long, it could be 90 days or whatever, and or more. It Think about it. If it's a product that's already mass produced, or there's a lot of people that are listing the same item, every time as somebody else lists that same item, yours gets pushed down more and more and more. But if you end and then hit that sell similar, it's going to bring it back again to the top. Now it might not be as
24
high
hours.
as a
I think it's a 24-hour top when you
yeah,
redo the item and put it up there. Yeah.
but like it helps. It helps a lot more. I feel like it does. It's not promoted, but I do want to say that's a nice little tool. Now promoting on, 'cause I don't do it on Facebook. I don't even like Macari, the way they do it. It discounts the item, and every time you promote, you discount the item. And I already hate that. I actually stopped sending offers on Macari because uh, they send the same offer to every single person. So it completely takes away like any chance of me getting full price anymore. That's I mean, the goal was to sell the items, but I feel like sometimes we're giving and giving and giving, and we're not getting. I mean, I know it's my starting price, but I just get annoyed by that. Macari, like I didn't send an offer to this person, but that's what they automatically do now. It makes I don't like it. I want to be able to choose because maybe what the market changed from yesterday, and they're going to
Yeah.
sell my item for like 20-30% less, than what the actually market changed to. It gives me no chance of selling stuff at full price hardly anymore. Um, so I stopped doing that. And then Poshmark, I haven't had any success on their promoted listings because they started doing that. I think a lot of people don't necessarily have a lot of success on Poshmark
Yeah,
promoted.
well, I mean, I think a lot of things that we're talking about, a lot of tips and tricks that we're talking about, that falls into the realm of, more eBay
Yeah, I
and
know.
even
I'm just getting
Macquarie, those
points.
things. I think maybe next week, maybe we'll speak about, more the success around whatnot and things like that, online auctions and stuff. But I guess this week, to continue on to the, theme of what we're already doing, um, how do you maximize your profits in other ways? This, I guess this goes to James. What tips would you give anybody to maximize the profits overall? On the back end. You're not so much with the merchandise and things like that. What other little tips and tricks would you give? To save as much money as you can.
Sure.
Any tips or tricks that you have for the
Yeah.
viewers?
Well, like I said, on product alone, it's when you buy it. That's when you really save your money. That's where the way you price is you can price according to how you buy it. Me, like supplies, boxes, every box I get is free. I don't have to buy a single box. I don't. I mean, it may not be the 6x6x6. It could be a 7x6x5. But most times that's going to work. It works for me. So boxes nowadays are anywhere between like 60 cents and $1.20 a piece. I spend no money on it. Absolutely zero money on that stuff. Um, I'll dig in a dumpster. If there's things in dumpsters, not boxes, even things to sell, I'll dig in a dumpster.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's all free. It's free. There's so many things you can do for free that saves you money in the back end. It's
That's
ridiculous.
that's where networking comes in handy. I keep a small friendship with people at the Family Dollar. I go around there every now and then when they're repacking their shelves, and they have all lovely. I'm in love with these small little brown boxes, that you can put anything in, and I'm in love with them. And I'll collect hundreds of them,
Yep.
as many as they have. I'll take, and they have no problem with me taking them. And that's where networking comes in handy, and that saves me so much money on shipping products. It just is. And not counting other little tips and tricks I have too. But like James says, I don't pay for boxes. I will also use USPS free boxes. But again, since Ground Advantage is cheaper, most of the time, I don't use priority boxes that much anymore. But James
Sure.
James hit it right on the head. Free boxes, that saves me so much money.
Especially like, people ship records. They want record boxes. Record boxes, a couple dollars a piece. I just take cardboard, move it out to as wide as I can, flatten it straight down, and put it around it. And I'll put it like a little baggie around the record, around the record album itself. But it's all good to go. I done saved money, and everything was free for me to ship.
Oh yeah,
I did
I
nothing.
think there's a lot of people out there that don't utilize like almost like every even like little scrap piece of cardboard. Like I love using, like, I ship a lot of flat items out. Like I've shipped out two like baseball magazines or programs today. Okay, and I I got boxes from my neighbor. She gives me boxes every once in a while of stuff that she ordered on Amazon, and she's like, "Oh, I got some for you." So, and I told her I'll use almost every piece. It doesn't matter. Give me anything you got, because like I'll cut it down, and all you have to do is um, make some like indents or creases, all the way down the line, and just fold it over on these. It doesn't matter as long as this size lines up right. You can franken that thing into like a like flat piece
Yeah.
of cardboard on each side, whatever. I think there's so many ways if you're smart and you're willing to kind of even to change the box sizes or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. You can utilize everything that's around you. Heck, my wife, a lot of times she'll get bubble wrap and packing, like material like that stuff from her work. Like they got a
Yep.
shipment in, and they're not going to use all these pillows or bubble wrap or anything like that. She'll bring a whole almost like a whole trash bag home for me sometimes.
Now,
And
Like,
and
now I was about to say, now that's category specific, on the boxes, right? Depends on what you sell. Say if you're selling, again, if you're a jeans or clothes seller, you're probably not going to use that many cardboard boxes. So maybe you'd have to find your products
well,
somewhere else.
yeah.
Temu. Temu
Well,
is shipper's best friend. So if you need poly bags, stuff like that, at a very cheap rate, Temu is a great place, and there's other places too. But
I
yeah,
mean,
but
poly mailers are cheap. I mean, you can get
yeah,
them a lot of
sorry,
places.
James, I gotta cut you off there. My fault.
sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
Now, I was just saying, like, another thing that saves you money is having knowledge of your shipping, knowing how much shipping costs and what it's going to cost you. See, a lot of people, um, I'll use like regular the shipping option where they automatically know calculated shipping. I automatically know what's going. A lot of times I don't use that only because I know how much a 4 ounce package, how much an 8 ounce package is going to go for, and I use it. And if the same person, say if me and somebody else selling a PS4 game, it goes at 8 ounces. Their calculated shipping, they're going to pay more in shipping than they're going to pay with me because I'm going to be lower than them, and I'm going to get that sale much quicker than they are. So you need to know how much when you're sending things out, how much is going to cost you to send things out. or if you're sending a book out, or how much it's going to weigh, or that, and then the dimensions. You need to be smart with how you're sending things out. Not only that, like if you got like we were just talking about the poly mailers. I mean, literally, this one is humongous. I paid like 3 cents a piece for these things, and they work in so many different ways. They do. Like I'll get a free FedEx boxes where I can ship books out in. I don't have to worry about cutting anything down. Wrap it up, put the thing in there, and then I'll put the FedEx bag and a FedEx box in one of these things. Cost me 3 cents with a free FedEx box, and that's how you save money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's how
No,
you save money.
I think having an idea of at least having an idea of your shipping costs even when you're buying an item is very important, because there's gonna be things that you're like, oh man, I can make a little bit of money on this, but then you don't realize like the shipping from like the East Coast to the West Coast is vastly different, and then there goes half your market.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take longer to sell the item, like you know what I mean. So I think that's a big factor, is knowing and having knowledge of shipping prices, uh, being open to comparing rates from USPS to UPS to FedEx. Check pirate ship, like what you just showed, that polybag. They do this great thing that a lot of people don't know about, but the whole box in a bag feature, there's so many ways to save money in shipping. Uh, just be open to learning, different ways even to ship things.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, the buyer, as long as you ship it to the point where the buyer is going to be happy and confident, like that, like when they receive it, like they think you packed it well and stuff, and it got there okay, like without any damage or problems, you have nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely not. Now, I know we've been talking a lot about selling online, the online system. Now, what other platforms do you leverage to sell your items, and what other tools you use for like cross listing or whatever it may be to leverage your reselling journey or your business? I mean, to grow, and how do you grow using those platforms?
Mhm.
Right?
Um, so I use List Perfectly right now. I'm open to trying different services. Like I know there's Nifty AI. I've been looking at them a little bit, but you want to definitely cross post if you can, because each platform is almost like a different market. You're going to have different buyers on each. So right now, I mean, I sell on a pretty good variety of platforms. Uh, Now the sales might, like the amount of sales I get are going to be different, too. That's something to think about. But it doesn't take long for me to cross post this stuff, so it's worth every penny that I spend on this. But I'm
Tell them how long
able,
it takes to cross post. And
um,
for those who've
it
never cross posted a day in their life, tell us
because
how. Break it down and tell us how it works.
well, I think that depends on a lot on the service that you use and the way I cross post. I've talked about this before. I do it the old way. So just because I have so many listings, I need to basically reboot this thing all the way back to the beginning if I need to, if I want to do it the new way. But manually, it only takes probably me about like 30 seconds, if that. Like, because basically I just click a button, I can have it cross posted to 3 different platforms, and then I just go through. It'll open tabs, and I just go through and make sure all the information is correct, and I just click list.
So you basically make your listing directly inside the platform,
Well,
or
I
you make
don't.
it on
I
eBay.
do it. I start on eBay. So there is one way. That's why I'm saying that's the new way, is to start it in the listing tool or whatever that you're using. That's the preferred way now. But back when I started, it wasn't like that yet. So, or it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't. There wasn't really much need or want to do that. I guess. Like I don't know. The way they have it now, because it's smart. If you do put it on that cross listing tool, like List Perfect or anything like that, they will actually delete. the item, like when it sells on, say, eBay, they will delete it from all the other platforms you had the item listed
Oh,
on.
nice.
I don't have that capability because I never upgrade. I never changed my methods. So
Now,
that's a
do you
downfall.
list? I'm sorry, I'm just
You're
asking
fine.
questions. I'm trying to bang this out. Do you um, cross list an item? Say if it has a quick sell through rate, will you still cross list that item?
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't mean I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna cross post it. It might not be instantly. So that's the thing. Everything I listed might not be cross posted that day. It might take a week.
Hmm.
I start on eBay, and then because that's my main thing, that's my main platform, and it might be even like might be sometimes later that day. It might be the next day, up to a week or whatever, where it'll eventually get cross posted over to Macari or Poshmark or Etsy or whatever. But
Yeah.
I will. I mean, if it's a high sell through rate, like I just want it sold. I don't care where it sells at.
Well, I mean, like I would say, like if I did it, like I had like I'll just take for instance, uh, Mario Kart on the Nintendo Wii. I
Hmm.
mean, they sell for me within a day to 3 days. A lot of times the same day. If I cross list them, probably would absolutely make no sense because I'm going to sell it on eBay and I know it's going to sell 100%. Would you still do that?
Yeah.
Okay. And now let me ask you another question. Since you've been before you cross listed to cross listing, what kind of percentage changes in increase in sales have you seen from cross listing?
So the first year I was cross posting, it literally doubled my sales.
You hear that?
So
Cross listing doubled his sales. So the more eyes on an object, the more it's likely to sell.
even if it's not like, I mean, I know my store has some items that aren't fast sell through rates. Like they're not, it's not a great sell through rate, but it really helps even moving the junk, the
Yeah.
stuff that sits.
Yeah.
So I think it's very key and very important to do that because I don't know, like I might have something that might absolutely never sell at this
Right.
point. So it will move that over. And also, I want to point out too, the way eBay has their whole combined shipping way, like so for those that don't know, you add, the buyer will add everything to their cart, and then they're supposed to hit the request over from seller button, right? And that's only available on the desktop. So that's the easiest way to do the combined shipping, supposed to be. But if you're already offering a discount on that item, or whatever, or the buyer wants to make an offer on that item, there's no longer an option to request over from seller. So it makes it very difficult to combine an order for that buyer. Um, I would say Poshmark and Macari make it so simple to bundle orders, and I think I get a lot of bulk orders on other platforms because of I'm able to put
Right.
so many items on there, and that is a great advantage because then I'm not just selling items, I'm getting rid of it in bulk.
Yeah.
I'll have somebody come in and buy. Sometime I've had it where 10 to 20 items on Poshmark or Mercari. 10 to 20. I never sell 10 to 20 items to one person at one time on eBay, and that's why.
Right. How about you, Kenny?
Me personally, look, I do. I sell on eBay, Facebook, whatnot, and one of my major ways I outlet things is in person. Me and James, we set up at the flea market. That's one of our outlets of selling. Now, in the next few months, I am going to try other platforms online to try to maximize my business. Because I always found, eBay, I've always been able to outlet basically whatever I want to sell online on eBay. But so as Ray gave you a few tips on the cross listing, I'll give you a few tips on selling in person. Now, most people they have issues with selling in person. Say at a yard sale, flea market, whatever, and one of them is talking to people and selling to them in public. They don't like it because, they feel that they can't sell anything. Well, one of the reasons is, look, you shouldn't set up a yard sale or flea market if you plan on just sitting there, not saying anything to anybody, and expecting your items to sell. So, one of my tips is micro network with people. You have to micro network with these people. If not, you're not going to be able to sell anything to them. Um, they're not going to see the item. You have to present it the same way you would market online. You market online with low prices and advertising and marketing and and you promote your listings. Well, you basically have to do that manually in person when you sell in person, right? That's what you have to do. So don't expect that your items are just going to sell regardless of how good your items are. Sometimes people get lucky, sometimes they don't. But, you have to actually push your items, especially when you're in a competitive marketplace, like a flea market or something like that. But to actually get past that, to actually make that a business, you're going to have to network again. You're going to have to network on the outside because a lot of people you're going to sell to are probably resellers themselves. So, like Ray was saying with the doubling his business when he did listing perfectly, you could probably double your business or more by, because we all buy items that are just lower dollar, and you don't even want to list them. It gives you just like, this is a low dollar item. Maybe it would be best for a flea market. Again, that's another option. The same way Ray uses list perfectly for Poshmark and Macari and all these other ways. Think of your other listing platform is a flea market. That's your other option, and that's going to have its own in and outs. The same way as the same struggles you might have doing with listing perfectly. So you just have to think of it as another platform to sell on, with its own rules and regulations and the do's and don'ts. You know what I mean? And that's basically how I see it. That's my listing perfectly.
Yeah, that was actually going to be kind of what I had to say. Is that's another way to do it. I mean, we all look at a platform. I look at flea market as a platform too. Another thing you can do with the flea market platform is you don't have to worry about the selling fees. You don't have to worry about the shipping or the returns. And so a lot of times I've seen with some merchandise, even though we can sell it low, say it's a $10 item, and we're going to sell a Macari or wherever we may sell it at. And by the time you put in the fees, we're maybe walking away with, after we pay for the item, $4 or $5. There, we could sell it for $4, $5, $6. Don't have to worry about returns. Don't have to worry about fees. Um, if you don't have to worry about the tax man sometimes, and you can move it very, very fast. And not only that, you could bundle things up, put them at the end of the day, put them in the box. You don't feel like taking stuff home and selling it all for one bulk price. A lot of times you can't do that on some of those platforms. But while you're doing that, you're building face to face people, so they can come back and see you again when you go to do the same things, or they might have stuff to sell you. So you're building more relationships. So that's kind of my thing. That would be my list perfectly platform advice. But you know what? Both of them are good. I mean, he could put them on 5 different platforms, and my platform is just the flea market. So yeah, I mean, I think that's good.
But I am in the near future. I have been thinking about it. Again, I'm going to be doing other platforms. And moving into that because it was mainly because of the things I sold. Maybe they weren't. I thought to themselves like, it's probably not good for Poshmark or some of these other places. It's more eBay focused types of items. But also, I want you guys to keep an eye out for Whatnot shows. I'm talking James and Ray into maybe even doing a Junk Saw Reseller podcast Whatnot show. So keep an eye out for that. We'll promote it ahead of time anyway if we actually do decide to do something like that. You know what I mean? And maybe you can come join us on a one night.
Jay went out.
Join us on one night. Join us on a one night for a Whatnot show. and
Yeah.
and you could talk to us live. You know what I mean? I mean, we always love you leaving comments down in below and all like that. But remember, like and subscribe. But also give us a follow over at Whatnot. You can give me Delmar Redeal to follow. But I'm talking James and Ray and maybe start just for funsies, and
Yeah.
not even something to make an extreme profit. Just something fun for us to do,
Yeah.
and maybe talk to you, the viewers at home, and whatnot. Maybe we'll just make it a buy it now show. We don't actually auction things off. We'll just have buy it nows for some fun items, and not even make it a money making thing,
Funsies.
just
No.
for funsies.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I know we're coming close, but I kind of want to instead of having a part two, let's get through this. What kind of systems do you put in place for your resale business? I mean, systems matter.
Um,
Who wants to go first?
I don't know. You caught me off guard with another question.
uh, well, the system's hard, right? Because you're dealing with so many different. You see, for me, it's hard. Now, do I know that of systems that work? The problem with me not having systems is because say our loads of stuff coming in is sporadic. It's not a timed day. It's not like we know on Monday at 2 o'clock we're gonna have another load of items, and we could schedule around that, right? So I mean, it could come at any other time. So it's hard to have a schedule as much as set up for the system. Now, the one of the systems I do have is going through items. When I go through items, I try to pull the dirtiest, because whether you know this or not, if you don't know this as a reseller, you're gonna fall into items, especially when you're dealing with pre-owned items that are dirty, that need to be cleaned up and tested, and that they're gonna take more work and energy and longer to actually get
Project
to
pile.
the list, right? So they get separated and gets pushed to the side into a separate pile, and I try to get the things that are all ready to go and get listed, that are clean and nice and perfect already, and get them listed as fast as possible so I can have that start generating to make money, and try to keep them other items on a specific scheduled day to actually clean up, so I can do it all at once, because I try to schedule days of getting merchandise in, right? And I mean, that works for all of us. It's kind of hard because, again, it happens sporadically. But again, try to schedule your days out of like one day doing pictures and listings, one day doing the cleaning of items, one day doing sourcing, one day doing and you have to schedule this out as a job if you want to do full time. If you're doing it part time, the system can be changed. It can be a little less stressful and less exact. But even if you were part time, I would probably tell you to schedule, plan everything. You know what I mean? Break down your daily jobs every single day, and try to group things together so you can do it in mass, because it's hard to getting to say, hey, I'm cleaning items today, and then all of a sudden, oh, here's a sourcing opportunity over here because it popped up out of nowhere, and stop cleaning the items to go source those items. So them items almost seem like they never get cleaned because they keep getting pushed to the wayside because, there was a sporadic thing happening, right? That's hard. But if you can go out and source on, a scheduled day, clean on a scheduled day, list on a scheduled day, you're going to be way more successful and way more consistent. Mm-hmm. Consistency is another key item you have to do.
That's what I was gonna say.
Schedule, plan, and consistency.
Nice.
Yep.
How about you, Ray?
Yeah, so I was definitely gonna say consistency is very important. I think that's one of the most important structures into a good system. But also, I mean, a big thing is, and I find myself doing this way more than I like. Like, I push off the things I don't want to do. Do the things you don't want to do. Like, how many times do I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel like taking pictures today. I don't feel like cleaning this. No, just do it. Because you're going to keep putting it off and putting it off. So like what I like to do, I write a list of all the things I want to do throughout the day or I need to do. And I just go down that list. It might not be in order, but I try to make sure that, at least 90% of that stuff I wrote down on a list is done by the time I'm done working for the day. And I think, if you can establish of goals and stuff you need to do every single day and consistently do that, you're going to have a lot of success.
Yep. Good. I think systems is a pretty inevitably you have to have systems if you want to grow a business. And I think sometimes my systems aren't in play as they used to be, but I mean I'm growing them. I think having a spot where you are to do your work it means a whole lot. Make sure you have your tools ready, available. Make sure they put them back into place when you're done. Another one of the systems that really helped out is the SKU system. So you know where to find your items after you've done listed them. You have them readily at hand. Make sure all your things are charged up. Your battery, you have a exact spot where you're taking your pictures at. So you're not clouded up. You're not moving around. You're not finding somewhere, and it's the same exact picture every time. So you want to do this like everybody says: consistency, consistency, consistency. You want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. If you source, most people you go to source. You want to source in a day, 2 days, 3. A lot of people I know source in the morning time. They come home, list all the items they've done, and then or when they come home, they ship and then list their items, and then they hit the post office before they close. So that's a system. You have to work within your means. Are you a single mother? Do you have your children at home? You have to take them to school. So you have to think about how you're going to work that system out and work it around it. So I know we're coming to the end of this podcast, but you know what, guys? We're going to do something extra. Each of us are going to give 5 tips and tricks right off the top of our head how to go to 0 to hero in your reselling business, and hopefully we all have 5 different ones. Then we're just going to say one and then kind of spit it out real quick, and then just go ahead and do what we got to do. And I hope you follow these things and you become successful. So Ray,
all right. So I'm going to go back to what you just said. Stay consistent in what you do. List every day. Make sure that you are shipping in a timely manner, because if you take too long to ship, keep it rolling. You know what I mean? Just keep it going with that, because if you take too long to ship, your buyers aren't going to have as great of an experience, and it's not going to help any future sales if you don't ship quickly. Be smart in what you're sourcing. Just because you like it doesn't mean somebody else is going to like it. And so, be versatile in what you do, like in how you source, how you list. Like there's like in your whole entire business, if you can be versatile, of like it, if you might have a day where you're not even listing at your normal place, like at home. Like I could list stuff in the doctor's office. I could find stuff to sell in Walmart. You know what I mean? That's how the versatility of reselling and the way you conduct your business. Like, don't stick to one thing. If you stick to one thing, Jay's going out again.
I'm good. Just keep going.
If you stick to one single thing, you're not giving yourself as many chances at success. So, what about you, Kenny?
All right. Number 1 is source intelligently. I'll wait.
Yeah, there's a fuzz.
They're in the fuzz now.
Yeah, there you go. You got it, brother. Technical difficulties. We all have them. Trust me, I have tons of technical difficulties.
Hey,
anyway. First off, source intelligently. That's number one. That means after you research what you want to do, what items you want to get to, you know, and you go to make a deal. If that deal doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Always, and I would always remind people, respectfully, nicely, you don't have to be an a-hole. You can always ask for a cheaper price, right? Like, try to do it, respectfully. What's the worst they can say is no, because if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Don't willy-nilly just buy anything. Do your little bit of research and source intelligently. Secondly, I would say to you, as a just as a matter of fact, as a human, I would say try to schedule and plan out. Again, we've all been guilty of not doing this, so I try to practice what I preach and kind of schedule out what I'm going to do for the day, for the week. It's hard to do it for a month, but and try to schedule out. So the third part can happen is your consistency. Consistently list, consistently source, consistently clean, consistently take your pictures, and this will always breed success, because you ask anybody successful, how they become successful. At some point, they just had to keep doing what they were doing. If you're a content creator, you're making content with only 10 people watching your content, then 15, then 20, then 1,000, and that's how it is. Consistency is key. So that moves into tip number 4. Marketability. Always make sure that you're marketing yourself, whether that's going to be through, promoting your listings with a brand. You have to have brand recognition. You have to acquire your customers. Just to constantly, you want to be on the tip of somebody's mind whenever they're thinking about the items that you're selling. They need again, I'm using jeans as an example because it's everybody knows what jeans are. Everybody knows what clothes are. We all wear them. When they think of jeans, you want them to think of you, or at least being in the category of being in a realm of other people that they're thinking about. Number 5, I'm going to joke around, but always remember, when the rapture happens, men are going to show up in heaven 30 minutes before women. And how do we know this? Because in Revelations, God says, when the 7th seal is broken, there will be silence in heaven for a half an hour.
That's good.
But no, my fifth tip my fifth tip is customer service. Now, what do I mean by that? On eBay especially, you're going to have customers who want returns, who ask crazy questions. They sound like a-holes. They sound like jackasses when they talk to you, almost like they're trying to rip you off, or they're just ignorant. And you want to say something. There's a lot of things that nobody talks about. You want to say something so bad to these people. I've almost been guilty of it plenty of times. I promise you, it's very hard. But practice not saying certain things to people. Almost in your mind, always have a script of, customer service things. Look at ChatGPT. You have to say these business things. If you want to be a business, you have to act like a business. Imagine, McDonald's or another business speaking to you in an off-putting manner, or cursing you out. You would feel some kind of way about that business doing it to you, regardless of how you treated them, right? Just remember, in this case, you are McDonald's, you are JCPenney, you are Walmart. You have to say things in a business structured way, because you don't want to hurt your own business. Because that will. If you have a certain attitude and you're trying to build a certain brand and an image, if you don't sound like what you look like, you may turn people off and you will lose business, and even the platform may even look at you harshly. So I would suggest even though you want to, say certain things, please have a certainty of graciousness in your business, customer service in your business. That's
Yeah,
that's a very hard thing to do, but
I like
please
that.
try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if real quick, Jay, because if you feel like you're gonna say something bad, like that
Don't.
you shouldn't say, walk away and come back later. Take a breath.
Yes, because it
That's it.
will harm you. Whether you know it or not, it
Yep.
will harm you.
Yep. Sorry, Jay. I just want to say that.
That's all right. Now I just want to say I got quick five. I don't go on it long, but know your numbers in your business. Know your numbers. Know how much you sell, how much it costs you to sell. Know everything that it is about, because you're not going to be able to run a successful business if you don't know what your numbers are. You need to know your numbers, every single one of them. How much it costs you to sell your items, how much you're buying your items for, how much inventory you have on hand, what you're paying, and how much you're going to get, how much you're grossing, and how much you're netting. You need to know your numbers off the top of your head. You need to know them. You need to know them. When I worked in the industry, um, for Goodwills and for all the companies I've worked for, one things I pride myself on, I knew the numbers. I knew the profit and loss statements through everything. I knew what I was spending on everything and what I was making. So know your numbers and treat it like a business. You have to treat your company like it's a business. I don't care. Don't look at it as a side hustle. Look at it as a business. This is another way to make money. I don't care if it's your second job. It's a business. Look at it as such. Be the king of your niche. I mean, make sure if you're doing video games, you're doing clothes, you're doing electronics, make sure that you're the most knowledgeable person in the room. You want to be the most knowledgeable. You want to know exactly what you're looking at. You don't want to know how much this product is worth. You want to be the king of your niche. And then, you make money on the deal. Again, watch what you spend on an item. Just don't go willy nilly blowing money, or just because I want it and you're going to overspend. Never overspend. Never overspend. Just make sure that's where you're going to make your money at the end. That means where you can put your sale at. You can sell under somebody else. You don't have to exact maximize price and have to be like, man, I'm just strong held in this deal because I have to sell at this price just to break even. Another thing, if the deal's not good for you, walk away. You got to walk away from the deal. It's no good. Walk away. You got to learn how to say no. You have to learn. And if you don't, people are going to run all over you. And I guess, I don't know if I'm 5 or not, but 5, be a lion. Don't let people run all over you. You got to you have to be knowledgeable. Stay knowledgeable, and don't let people tread all over your back, because in this industry they will. Because when I've been in reselling, I watched people. It was a little different. People acted a lot different. There was camaraderie. There was it's no camaraderie now. They're all sharks. They're out you're the food.
Yep.
You're not a shark. You're the shark's food. So that's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
See,
I always think to myself, I hear people say it a lot. Success is found. I don't believe success is found. I believe success is made. Success is a series of you doing certain things to build your business, right? Because if success was found, you can just go outside and just pick it up and yay, it's made.
Open the door. I found it in the grass.
Like James says, there's certain systems that you have to put in place for success. You just have to. You just have to.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say maybe overall for me, if I had to sit back and think about it, treat what you're doing like it's your life. Treat it like it is your business, not just some game you're playing. Because if you don't put your any type of heart or feeling or any of it, it's going to fall by the wayside. You're going to get out of it what you put in it. And if you don't put in shit, guess what you're going to get out? Kenny?
Turds.
You're going to get, yeah, right. You're going to get turds.
Because I tell you, look, me and James, and the reason we know this, right? Again, we've had pretty much success, especially James online, but in person especially, you don't think how much it transfers and it actually, translates onto the online business. We've sold, in our careers for years, we've sold millions of dollars in product.
Yeah.
millions upon millions of dollars in merchandise over the years. You know, and we've learned certain things that translate into the online business the same as you know, in person. It's just one's upscaled and the other is more manual and local, right? Like there's things that you do in person that you would do online, but instead of having AI or just a system to do it for you, you have to implement it in person, right? So if you're saying, well, why should we listen to you guys? Because we've sold millions of dollars in product. James has ran millions upon millions of dollars of businesses, you know, multi-million-dollar businesses for years. So have I, and we've also ran our own businesses where we sold millions of dollars in merchandise. So trust me, we've done it. We may seem, you know, might not seem like, but you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, we're
You know,
nonchalant, but we're really, I mean,
my bona fides is in the millions of selling in products.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I want to kind of give a quick
and
thing out.
I want you to take what we're saying to you and succeed. That's basically
Yes.
why we're telling you this, because we want others to succeed. You know, a lot of people ask us, you know, why don't you just give us, instruction on what you did, on how you were able to, you know, do what you've done. And you know what? They had a point, and that's what James wanted to do. He wanted to present everybody watching right now a few tips and tricks on, you know, what a successful business may need to grow.
Yeah. I want to kind of leave you guys with a little bit of a fact. Estimates show that 80% of eBay sellers do not even make $1,000 a month. So I want you to leave that thought into your head. Are you happy with less than $1,000 a month? And if so, just keep doing what you're doing. And if not, watch this video over again. Share it
Wait,
with
so
the
you're
family.
saying, James, we're in the top 20 percentile?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
I did not know that. That's a good, I think that was a good ending point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bag that up. And again, we thank you. And please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And we do appreciate every one of you viewers. I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You have a blessed day. And we'll
Hey,
see
like
you
and
next week.
subscribe. Comments in the
Yep.
all
Be
the
a
good stuff.
shark, because that's
Be a
junk.
shark. Bye.